Hey everyone, it's time to talk about Joe Biden because I believe he is going to drop out over the next week and a half. This is going to be some big news that is going to shake up everything, so let's get started. First of all, we already know that there's a couple Democrats already calling for him to drop out, or they're at least expressing a lot of concern, but this is the breaking news coming from Fox News here. Take a listen.
Well, and on this July 3rd, we start with a Fox News alert. More than 24 House Republicans are reportedly preparing to write a letter to President Biden to end his reelection effort if he continues to be shaky.
So this comes as a...
And there you go. If he continues to be shaky, I would expect him to be more shaky as the next few weeks go on. We are going to see him out more and more, hopefully with less teleprompters, but I want to emphasize shaky. They are not fully going forward with it just yet. That shakiness is going to be very, very crucial, and which is why I say it's going to be a week from now, 2 weeks from now, because again, he'll have more time to prove that he is very, very shaky, which I think we all know he is at this point. Now, when you go look at the polls, I think this is why you see so many people freaking out, whether it may be somebody like a donor or just an individual citizen. They are not happy with Biden at least right now. And you're seeing, look at this, Trump wins, Trump wins, Trump wins. The only time Biden really wins on this list is when he's put up against Michelle Obama. And I don't even know if we want to go back to the time of dynasty families in America. I just don't know if we want to do that. And you can see every single time Trump is winning. You add Kennedy in here, Kennedy may win 5%, 11%. Kennedy is also soaking up a little bit of the extra Biden vote that might have gotten freaked out during the last election here, which is going to be interesting because, again, what happens if there's a new Democrat at the top of the ticket and some people don't like him? Will they go for RFK over that Democratic candidate? There's no good situation where Democrats really take back control, even if Biden does decide to step down here. Now, as far as congressional Democrats, the ones that actually hold office, there's only actually been one official call to drop out. The rest have just been something more of concerns. And even though they say concerns, they're still backing him fully, which means nobody's going to force him out of this position. Nobody is going to force him. I don't think even with those 25, different people going to send him a little letter, that's the dam breaking, but it's really just going to be up to him to say, hey, I can no longer do this. And when we're talking about this type of stuff, I think it's important for you guys to understand who really holds control over the Democratic Party. Right now, it's actually Joe Biden. The way it's structured, it's not as democratic as other parties out there. So what he's going to do today is he's going to hold a crisis meeting with Democratic governors at the White House. For whatever reason, over the past few days, he has not really been talking to congressional leaders, governors, and all he's been talking to really is donors, and he made some mistakes there as well, some gaffes. So as we kind of wait to see what happens, these governors, when they come out of this meeting later on tonight, or maybe when they start talking tomorrow morning, they're either going to be, huddling around him, protecting him, or they're going to say, hey, he was having some issues even talking with us. There's going to be some reports about it. And that'll even put a little bit more pressure on him to step down here. Because again, if you want to be president, you have to have a massive ego. You just have to. Think of Trump, think of Joe Biden right now. If Trump is a threat to democracy, he would gladly step down. But I think in his mind, he's the only one that can defeat Trump. But after that debate for performance, it just doesn't seem like it's going to be a valid thing to see here. One thing, the governor's meeting is tonight, closed door meeting at the White House. So everything that the news talks about tomorrow, it's going to be leaks from the meeting, leaks and leaks and leaks. So if it's a good night for him, you'll know about it in a heartbeat here. Two more things as far as Biden, and I kind of want to just talk about what happens after all this. Breaking news, this was 3 hours ago. President Biden told a key ally in his campaign may be unsalvageable if he can't convince the public he's up for the job. It's the first public indication that Biden is seriously considering whether he can recover after the debate. And again, this is the New York Times. New York Times and a lot of these media outlets have been very, very friendly to Biden. Let's not lie here. A lot of the media likes Joe Biden. They don't want to see him go out like this. The only reason I would say they're turning on Joe Biden right now is they don't like Trump. And this goes back to the fact that I don't know how many people really like Biden. I think they really just don't like Trump. And that's okay. A lot of people don't like Trump. I can completely understand it, right? However, the fact that the Washington Post, the New York Times are going after him like this, it's not something we see very often. And if you guys recall, a lot of us knew that he was having some cognitive difficulties over the past few years. the media acted like every time you talked about that, you were fake, you were lying, it was misinformation. They knew this was going on in the background, and they still decided to wrap it up until they could no longer, the cat's out of the bag now. So now they have to do their job and act like journalists. But they've known about this for a while. Finally, here, CNN admits to something unbelievably embarrassing. Many in media failed to report more on Biden's cognitive issues because they feared blowback from the White House and Democrats, or worse, age stories angered the White House and the liberal Twitter sphere the most. Again, I think who comes out really bad at the end of the day, because Biden will be fine, he's making his millions and stuff like that. The media institution, whatever they call themselves, the fourth estate, the fifth estate, whatever it is, they knew this was happening. And anytime somebody on the news would talk about it, whether it's MSNBC, CNN, any of the major networks, ABC, CBS, they acted like you were crazy and that you were lying, and how dare you say this about Joe Biden. But they all knew this was happening. And now that we're starting to see more of these, articles come out, oh yeah, we knew it from a couple years ago. It's been happening more and more and more. It's finally getting a lot worse. They knew it, and they still lied about it. And how could you trust the news if they were hiding something like this about Joe Biden? How can you trust the news going forward? So, however, because they are still more Democratic leaning, I think, this does make it more difficult if Joe Biden does drop out. This does make it more difficult for Trump to really hold on to that lead, because everybody in the media is going to come running up to that, whoever that new Democrat is, maybe Kamala Harris, maybe somebody else, and they're going to hold them and see where it goes. I was trying to find out who the people are that might actually, you might say, like, take Joe Biden's place at the mantle, the head of the ticket, right? And right now, Kamala Harris is probably at the top. And that's mostly just because the way the Democratic Party works, you guys know there's a lot of race politics involved in that. They don't want to skip over an African-American woman to go to a number of white guys, or maybe even a white woman. All right, like a Gretchen Whitmer over in Michigan, I think, or Wisconsin, one of the two. So we have to, she's at the top of the ticket. A wild card may be Michelle Obama, but I don't think Michelle Obama wants to do that. Honestly, she gets so much slack, so much hate already online. I don't think she wants to put herself into that position. You got Buttigieg, maybe even Bernie Sanders could, make a run for it if he has all the delegates and stuff like that. He has been pissing off a lot of the centrist Democrats for quite a bit of time now. Gavin Newsom is also another one here. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts about who you guys think might take over, because I'm personally, as far as positive as I can be, I'm very positive Joe Biden is not going to last until Election Day. I think he is going to drop out before the convention. And then once that's done, it'll be a huge mess. It'll be a mess. But the Democratic Party will kind of get back on track a little bit. They'll find somebody. And I'm not even sure that new person is going to be able to beat Trump, primarily because the economic situation is still so bad. I don't know how all these minorities that have gravitated towards Trump over the past few months or years, I guess, how they're going to feel about this new Democrat. There's so many wild cards, but I think it does make the game a little bit more interesting. So let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.
Empty hearts and neon lights.